Very good morning, students. So far we discussed different types of capacitors and how to calculate the capacitance of those capacitors, and we understood the combination of capacitors in series combination and parallel combination, how to calculate the effective capacitance. All these ideas we have seen till the last class. Today's class is something different, and if the capacitor is connected in a circuit, how to study about various parameters related to that. That means how much charge is stored in that particular capacitor, what is the potential difference across the plates of the capacitor when it is in a circuit. To know these ideas, we have to understand certain analysis of the circuit. So today's topic is circuit analysis of capacitor circuits. Circuit analysis of capacitor circuits. In most of the competitive exams, they are asking certain questions related to this idea. How to do the analysis of a circuit and how to calculate the charge stored in a particular capacitor and the voltage across a particular capacitor. Let us understand. Here, there is a scientist named Kirchhoff. He proposed certain laws to do the circuit analysis. Let us understand Kirchhoff laws in today's class. Kirchhoff proposed two laws to do the circuit analysis. The first law is called junction law. Junction law. The second law is called loop law. With the help of these two laws, any complicated circuit consisting of capacitor, resistor, batteries can be analyzed, and whatever parameters we require, we can retrieve from the calculation. Today let us understand Kirchhoff laws. Among them, the first law is called junction law. So first of all, let us understand junction law. This law is based on conservation of charge. This law is based on conservation of charge. Let me take combination of capacitors like this. Here is a capacitor. It is attached with two other capacitors like this. Let its capacitance is C1, let its capacitance is C2, let its capacitance is C3. Here this meeting point of wires or conductors is called junction OR node. This point is called either junction OR node. As you know that as this combination of capacitors is connected to certain energy source like battery, some charge will move in this direction. Let us suppose Q is the charge moving like this. It provides some positive charge here, negative charge here. Once the capacitor is fully charged, it continues to move like this. Once it approaches the node or junction, it finds two ways. Some charge may move in this path, some charge may move in this path. Due to the passage, here it is getting some Q1 charge, here it is getting some Q2 charge. In order to understand the junction law, we should take some isolated part of the circuit. Isolated means which is individual, which is not dependent on anybody. Suppose if I consider this part of the circuit, this part is called isolated part of the circuit. Here on this capacitor plus Q1 is available, on this capacitor plate plus Q1 is available, here minus Q1 is available. Similarly here plus Q2 is available, here minus Q2 is available. Q2 is the total charge stored here. If you consider this isolated portion, this part is called isolated portion. In isolated portion, there is negative plate of first capacitor, there is some positive plate of second capacitor, there is another positive plate of third capacitor. It consists of minus Q charge here, it consists of plus Q1 charge here, it consists of plus Q2 charge here. It consists of plus Q1 here. Sum of the three charges, if you take minus Q plus Q1 plus Q2. This is the total charge available on the three plates once the passage of charge is observed. Before the passage of charge, no charge is available on the three plates, so the net charge on them is 0. So before we send this charge, the total charge on the isolated part is 0. Once you send this charge, it is storing the charge here, and some part is stored here, some part is stored here. So I applied conservation of charge principle here. From this, we can conclude this minus Q can be taken that side, Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2. The conclusion is like this. Whatever charge is approaching the junction, it is getting divided into two other charges here. That means the charge approaching the node is equal to the sum of charges leaving out of the node or junction. This law is called junction law. So its statement is like this. Charge approaching a junction or charges approaching a junction is equal to sum of charges leaving out of the junction. Here approaching charge is Q, leaving out of charges are Q1 and Q2. Their sum is equal to the approaching charge. This law is called junction law. In junction law, the important point you should understand here is how to select the isolated portion. All these three plates are connected to the same point. So all the three plates are forming a separate system. That separate system is called isolated portion. On isolated portion of a circuit, initial charge is equal to final charge distribution. Initial charge distribution is equal to final charge distribution. Initially no charge is available, therefore 0 I took. Finally, the distribution of charges is like this. Hence it proves that charge approaching is equal to charge leaving. This is called junction law. Next, let us understand the second law proposed by Kirchhoff. The second law is called loop law. As we have seen, the junction law is based on the conservation of charge. Loop law is based on conservation of energy. Loop law is based on conservation of energy. Let me consider a circuit to understand this loop law like this. A combination of capacitors is like this. Here is a source of EMF E1, here is a source of EMF E2. There are 5 capacitors here, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. This is a circuit. In this circuit, let me name these points as A, B, C, D, E, F. We may consider a loop. Loop means you may consider A, B, C, F, A as a loop. You may consider F, C, D, E, F as a loop. You may consider A, B, C, D, E, F, A as a loop. Otherwise, you may start your journey from here. B, C, F, A, B as a loop. Like that, you can select a loop, a closed loop. What are the closed loops available here? A, B, C, F, A. This is a closed loop. If you start your journey from C, C, D, E, F, C. This is a closed loop. Otherwise, you may take A, B, C, D, E, F, A. These are the closed loops. These are the closed loops. Like that, you may select any loop. In a particular loop, either you may go in clockwise motion or you may go in anti-clockwise motion for your study. Either you may go in clockwise motion or you may go in anti-clockwise motion for studying about it. So what is this loop law states? The statement of loop law is like this. In a closed circuit, the algebraic sum of rise up and drop up voltages, rise up and drop up voltages. That is the sum of all voltages is equal to 0. What is the statement? In a closed loop means you can select in any manner. The sum of all potentials available in that closed loop is equal to 0. Those potentials can be named as rise up potentials or drop up potentials. Potentials are voltages. Let us understand what is meant by rise up potential, what do you mean by drop up voltage. So to understand this, let me take a small explanation here. For example, if here is a resistor, current is going like this, or here is a capacitor, charge is going like this. Here is a cell with a positive terminal like this. So when you are moving from left to right, that means from terminal A to terminal B, terminal A to terminal B, terminal A to terminal B. When you are moving from terminal A to terminal B, what will happen? Current is going from terminal A to terminal B means potential at A is greater than potential at B. Potential at A is greater than potential at B. That means you are moving from high potential region to low potential region. That means potential value is going to decrease. So such a potential is called drop up potential. What is the potential here? V is equal to IR. What is the potential here? V is equal to Q by C. What is the potential? Or nothing but EMF. So here the value of V is called drop up potential. Even here the value of Q by C is called drop up potential. Drop up potentials are generally represented with negative sign. Therefore the potential here I should take it as negative. Even the potential here I should take it as negative. Whenever you are moving from high potential to low potential, that means positive plate to negative plate. positive terminal of the battery to negative terminal of the battery, high potential point to low potential point across the resistor. The potential value should be taken as negative. So we should impose negative sign here. Here the V value should be taken as minus V is equal to minus IR. Here minus V is equal to minus Q by C, Q by C. Here the EMF should be taken as minus E. Similarly, the same situation in reverse manner, let me see. The same resistor is there. It is A, it is B. If suppose current is going like this, if suppose or current is going like this, you are moving in the opposite direction. Your observation is from terminal B to terminal A. That means you are moving from low potential point to high potential point. Similarly, in case of capacitor, if you are moving like this. Similarly, in case of battery, if you are moving like this. That means you are moving from negative plate to positive plate here. You are moving from negative terminal of the battery to positive terminal. Here, potential at A is greater than potential at B, but you are moving from low potential region to high potential region. Potential is rising, hence such a potential is called a rise up potential. Rise up potential. Rise up potential will be taken as positive. That means here the potential V is equal to IR is taken as positive. Here V is equal to Q by C, as Q is the charge stored here, C is the capacitance here, is positive. Even EMF of the cell, whereas you are moving from negative to positive, it should be taken as positive. So these are called drop up potentials, these are called rise up potentials. So when you are moving either clockwise or anti-clockwise in a particular loop, you may be moving from positive plate to negative plate, then that is called drop up potential. If you are moving from negative terminal of the battery to positive terminal of the battery, then that is called rise up potential. So like that, the potentials are given some sign. Those sign conventions I discussed here. That's why I wrote algebraic sum. So in a particular loop, you find the potential here, you find the potential here, you find the potential here, you find the potential here. You take the sum of all those potentials with respect to this sign convention. The sum of all those rise up and drop out voltages in a particular closed loop is equal to 0. This law is called loop law. With the help of these two laws, we can do the circuit analysis. With the help of these two laws, we can do the circuit analysis. To understand it more clearly, I will give one application here. You see this application. I will give one application here. The application is like this. Application of these two laws in a particular circuit. Application. See this circuit. Here is a circuit with one capacitor like this, another capacitor like this. Here is one more capacitor like this. Here is one cell like this. Here is one more capacitor like this. Here is one capacitor like this. Here is a cell like this. This cell is having EMF E2. This cell is having EMF E1. Now, here the name of this first capacitor is C1, name of this second capacitor is C2, this is C3, this is C5, this is C4. I would like to find the distribution of charge. Find the distribution of charge. Always you remember that here is a cell. We have a misconception. What is misconception? Battery create or generate charge. Battery creates or generates charge. It is the misconception. Misconcept. What is correct concept? Battery will not create or will not generate the charge. Just it makes the charge to move in the circuit. Hence it is acting like a pump. So battery, what is the concept? Battery is a electrical pump. Is a electrical pump to move charge in circuit. So you remember this point. This is very, very important. Battery is an electrical pump to move the charge in a circuit. Is an electrical pump to move a charge in the circuit. Now, in order to understand the distribution of charge here, let us suppose this plate is having plus Q. So obviously it will have minus Q. So Q is the charge moving through this capacitor in this direction. Now what is the charge available on this plate? In order to understand the charge available on this plate and the nature of charge, whether it is positive or negative, let me take an isolated system here. This is an isolated system. Isolated system. Isolated system 1. If you observe clearly, initially no charge is available on them, so 0. Finally here, what is the charge available? Minus Q. Here, what is the charge available? That is not known. So Q, let me take Q is equal to plus Q. So as this plate is having minus Q, it should possess plus Q. Obviously it should possess minus Q. So the same charge Q is transferring till this point like this. Let me name the points A, B, C, D, E, F, like this. Now this charge finds two ways. One way like this, another way like this. Let Q1 is the charge transferred onto this plate. So obviously minus Q1 will be here. So what the charge is coming, actually Q is the charge coming. It is transferred as Q1 into this particular branch. So remaining charge will go here. So the charge available on this plate is Q minus Q1. Q minus Q1. Obviously as it is positive charge, both are having positive value. So here you will get negative charge. This charge will be transferred like this. And in order to understand the charge available on this plate, let me take one more isolated system. This is the second isolated system I am considering here. Here this isolated system includes the battery. Battery can be included because it is not going to generate a charge or it is not going to destroy the charge. It is just pumping the charge. It's like a pump. So no need to worry about this battery. So batteries can be included in isolated portion of circuit. Batteries can be included in isolated system. Batteries can be included in isolated system. So to understand the charge available on this plate, what could be the charge? Total charge should be 0. So here minus Q1 is there, means obviously it should be plus Q1 to make the charges conserved. So same Q1 charge is appearing here. Here minus Q1 is appearing. This minus Q is coming this side. Here Q. So Q minus Q1, it is coming like this. Again they are joining each other. So the net charge Q will be transferring here. Net charge Q will be transferring here. So what is the charge coming this way? Q1 minus Q. So by adding these two, Q1 gets cancelled. Q will be transferring like this. This is the distribution of charges here, and you can apply loop law. I already applied junction law in this portion of isolated circuit, in this portion of isolated circuit, or you may include one more isolated portion here, q minus q1. So if you join them again, when you add these two, minus q plus q gets cancelled, plus q1 minus q1 gets cancelled, so it's okay. When we apply loop law here, so consider a loop. What is the loop I am considering? A, B, C, F, A is a closed loop. In this closed loop, I need to apply loop law. In order to apply loop law, I need potentials at each and every element. Suppose if I am going like this in clockwise motion, what is the potential here? Potential is equal to potential at this V1, at capacitor V1, let me take. Potential you can calculate by dividing charge with capacity, Q by C1. What is the potential here? V2. So V2 will be Q by C2. What is the potential here? Here the potential is V5. V5 is Q minus Q1 by C5. So what is the potential here? V4. V4 is given by Q1 by C4. Similarly, what is the potential here? V3, Q1 by C3. So individual potentials I calculated. Now I am going to apply loop law here. Sum of all potentials should be 0. I am starting from point A. So I am moving from positive plate to negative plate. So drop of potential is there. What is the drop of potential? Q by C1. It should be taken as negative, minus Q by C1. Next, from B to C I am going from positive plate to negative plate. Again drop of potential. What is the drop of potential? Minus Q by C2. Now I am going from C to F. I am moving from positive plate to negative plate. So positive plate to negative plate means again drop of potential. So minus of Q minus Q1 by C5. Now I am moving from negative terminal to positive terminal. So rise of potential is there. So I should take positive here. E1 is equal to 0. E1 is equal to 0. Similarly, one more loop let me take. CD, EFC. CD, EFC. If I take this closed loop, in this loop, again if I move in clockwise motion, so what equation I will get? If I start my journey from here, Q1 by C3, from positive to negative I am going, so it's drop up, sorry. Q1 by C3. Now I am moving from positive to negative. So positive to negative means minus E2. Now I am moving from positive to negative. Positive to negative means minus I should take Q1 by C4. Now I am moving from negative to positive. So I should take rise up. That means plus Q minus Q1 by C5. That is equal to 0. That is equal to 0. So how many variables are there? Q is one variable, Q1 is another variable. In order to solve two variables, two equations are there. By solving these two equations, this problem can be solved. I hope you understood. What are the basic ideas we should remember here? Always we should leave the misconception that battery creates charge or generates charge. Leave this misconception. Go to the concept, battery is an electrical pump to move the charge in the circuit. So any battery can be included in isolated portion you are considering. This isolated portion I am considering to apply the junction law to know the charge available on this plate. Again, this isolated portion I am taking to find the charge on this plate, and I applied loop law to generate an equation here, to generate an equation here. Two variables are there. What are the two variables? Q comma Q1. To solve two variables, two equations are sufficient. By solving the equations, you will get the required result. I hope you understood the Kirchhoff laws, how they are useful to do the circuit analysis. Sometimes the calculation of these equations becomes so tedious. To avoid that problem, I will tell you some nodal analysis method. That method helps us to solve the problem in a simple way. That means you may say that it is as a shortcut. The major idea is Kirchhoff law application only, but the nodal analysis makes us to solve the problem in little time with little calculation. To understand the nodal analysis, first of all, let me explain what are the steps involved in nodal analysis. Nodal analysis is nothing but it's an easy way to apply Kirchhoff laws to analyze a circuit. Now let us understand nodal analysis of a circuit. Nodal analysis of a circuit or nodal method of circuit analysis. Nodal method of circuit analysis. To understand nodal analysis is also based on conservation of charge. Based on conservation of charge. Actually, there are three steps in the nodal analysis. What is conservation of charge? Total charge in an isolated system is conserved. Conservation of charge means total charge on an isolated system is conserved or becoming constant. So there are three steps to apply nodal analysis. Before to understand the nodal analysis, first let me draw a circuit here. Here is a circuit consisting of capacitors like this. Here is one more capacitor. It is connected to a cell of EMF E. It is connected to a cell of EMF E. Here this capacitor is having capacity C1, C2, C5, C3, C4. You are asked to find potential difference across C5 is equal to question mark. This is the question. So to solve this question, generally we take some loop law, junction law, and we will find the distribution of charges, and applying the loop law you will get equations. On solving equations you will get the result. That is the general procedure. By applying Kirchhoff laws you will get the required result. But the same application of Kirchhoff laws we will do in a different method. This nodal method of circuit analysis involves three important points or three important steps. Step number one. Step number one, mark different nodes in a circuit and assign the potentials. Mark different nodes in a circuit and assign potentials. This is the first step in nodal analysis. Second, step number two. Identify the isolated system identify the isolated systems and write conservation of charge. Equations. Step number 3. Step number 3 is nothing but solving the equations. Solving the equations to get values of unknowns. These are the unknowns, means unknowns potentials. These are the 3 steps. Let me apply the 3 steps in this given circuit. First of all, we should mark different nodes. Let me give the names for different nodes. Otherwise, you take this is a node, 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 this is a node. Node means a junction. Let me take this node as a reference node. Reference node. And let me take the potential of the reference node as 0. No circuit element is available till this point. So here also potential is 0, here also potential is 0. Battery provides a potential difference of E. Therefore, that means between these 2 terminals, the potential difference must be E. Definitely, the potential at this point should be E. So, as no circuit element is available, here also EMF or potential is E. We don't know about these 2 points. Let me take the potential at this point as X, potential at this point as Y. So what is the first step? Mark different nodes in a circuit and assign potentials. I marked different nodes and I assigned potentials. So first step is completed. What is the second step? You should identify the isolated systems and write the conservation of charge equations. So here is an isolated system. If you observe clearly, it is an isolated system. One more isolated system you can observe here. I identified 2 isolated systems. Next, we should assign the charge. Suppose here plus Q1 charge is there because it is connected to positive potential of the cell. Obviously here minus Q1 will be there. Obviously here minus Q1 will be there. I need to find this charge available on the first capacitor. How to find the charge available on the first capacitor? Q1 is equal to, charge is equal to capacitance. We are given capacitance C1 into potential difference between the 2 plates. So this terminal is at X potential, this terminal is at E potential. So E minus X will be the potential difference between the 2 points. Hence the charge available on the first capacitor is C1 into E minus X. Similarly, charge available on third capacitor. Suppose Q3 is the charge available here. So you can calculate Q3. Here capacitance C3 into potential difference E minus Y. Similarly, charge available on this fourth capacitor Q4 is given by, here capacitance is C4, the potential difference is Y. Y comma 0, Y. Similarly, the charge available on second capacitor Q2 is given by C2 into the potential difference is X minus 0, X. So identify the isolated system, write the conservation of charge equations. I used a conservation of charge and I calculated the different charges available. Now I would like to write the equations related to this and I should solve them. Okay, these are the 3 steps. I followed already 2 steps. I am going for the 3rd step. So in isolated system 1, you should write the equation. I am going for step number 3. before going the step 3, I need equations here in the two isolated systems. Every isolated system provides one equation. So let me take the equation in the first isolated system. The equation in the first isolated system is like this. So minus q1 here. Let us assign the potentials. So obviously this is positive, this is negative. Here the charge is coming like this. So you will have negative charges coming like this, means it is negative potential. So it is positive. So it is positive. It is negative. Obviously, to know the charge available here on Q5. So what is the charge available on Q5? Sorry, C5. Capacitance into Q5 is equal to C5 into x minus y. Let me take x is greater than y. For time being, x is greater than y, let me take. So obviously, you will have is it negative or positive? How will we know? Whatever charge coming here will be coming like this. So it is positive and it is negative. Sorry. So it is also positive, it is negative. So as it is negative, it is positive. So this is the charge distribution. This is charge distribution here. If I apply isolation equation, what is the isolation equation in the first loop? This is the first loop, minus q1. So here plus q2, here plus q5. Their sum must be 0 for isolated system 1. Similarly, for isolated system 2, that means this system, here charge is minus q3, here charge is minus q5, minus q3, minus q5, here charge is plus q4, that is equal to 0. Equation number 2 for isolated system 2. By solving these equations, you will get the result. So how to solve? Step number 3. Equation 1 becomes minus q1. So minus of c1 into e minus x plus q2. q2 value c2 into x plus q5. q5 means c5 into x minus y is equal to 0. Similarly, from equation number 2, we will get minus q3. q3 means c3 into e minus y minus q5. q5 means c5 into x minus y plus q4 c4 into y. Sum is equal to 0. How many variables are there? 2 variables. What are they? 2 variables, x comma y. 2 equations are there. By solving 2 equations, you will get the values of x comma y. Equations solving is very, very simple. You do it as per your mathematics. So what are the 3 steps involved? First of all, I identified different nodes and I have taken a reference node. The potential on the reference node I took as 0 volts. So it is 0, 0. As it is 0, it is E. As it is E, it is E, it is E. Unknown potentials are here, x comma y. Later, I identified the charges available, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5, and I assigned the charges. So as positive charge is coming here, so the same positive charge is coming here. The positive charge is getting divided into this branch and this branch. Therefore, this plate and this plate are getting positive. Now, as per the isolated system, the potential over here is negative, potential over here is positive, and potential over here is, as it is positive, it is negative. So as it is negative, it must be positive to keep this potential charge is conserved. So by solving these equations, you will get the result. So I will do one example based on this nodal analysis, such that you can clearly apply the nodal method to solve a problem. Okay. Right. Example 1. Example 1 is like this. Discuss the charge on each capacitor, or determine the charge on each capacitor. Determine the charge on each capacitor. Here is a circuit like this. There is some battery connected to a capacitor. One more capacitor is here. There is some another battery like this. There is some another capacitor like this. It is 2 microfarad capacitor. It is a 20 volts battery with positive and negative sign. This is C3, again 2 microfarad capacitor. This is C2, 4 microfarad capacitor. It is second battery having voltage 10 volts with the negative and positive terminals like this. You are asked to find the charge on each capacitor. So what are the 3 steps? First of all, we should identify all the nodes and their potentials. One reference node I should take. Let me take this as a reference node. Let the potential at this point is 0 volts. Reference node is having 0 volts. As it is 0 volts, definitely there should be some potential difference between the two ends. So here voltage is not known to us. Let X is the voltage at this point. Obviously here the voltage is 20 volts to make the potential difference 20 volts here. As there is no circuit element, here also you will have X volts. As the potential difference between this point and this point is 10 volts, definitely there should be 10 plus X volts here. If you take the difference, 10 plus X minus X is 10 volts. As no circuit element is available here also 10 plus X volts is the potential difference. So potential at the different nodes. Later I should identify isolated system. Let me take an isolated system like this. The dotted lines indicates isolated system. And we should assign the potentials. So obviously as it is connected to positive, it is positive, it is negative. So here it is connected to negative terminal of the battery, so you will find negative potential here, you will find negative potential here, it will be positive potential, and as it is negative, it is a positive potential. Like that you can assign the signs of charges on different plates. Now I need to apply conservation of charge, and I need to get an equation. The charge available on the first capacitor is Q1. So C into V. So C is 2, V means potential difference 20 minus X. 20 minus X. Similarly, the charge available on second capacitor Q2 is equal to 4 into the potential difference is X minus 0. X. Similarly, charge available on third capacitor Q3 is equal to 2 into the potential difference is 10 minus X comma 0. Sorry, 10 plus X minus 0. So I should take 10 plus X here. This is the charge available on third capacitor. Now I should write conservation of charge equation. In this isolated system, here plus Q1 is there. We may include the battery, that's no problem with that. So plus Q1, here minus Q2, here minus Q3, their sum is 0. So that is 2 into Q1 value we calculated 20 minus x, minus Q2 means 4x, minus Q3 means 2 into 10 plus x, that is equal to 0. So 40 minus 2x minus 4x minus 20 minus 2x is equal to 0. So 40 minus 20 is 20 minus 8x is equal to 0. It implies x is equal to 20 by 8, that is equal to 10 by 5, 10 by 4, 2.5 volts. I found the potential here as 2.5 volts. I found the potential here as 2.5 volts. The question is, determine the charge on each capacitor. What is the charge on each capacitor? Q1 is equal to 2 into 20 minus x value is 2.5. That is 2 into 17.5, that is 35 microcoulomb. As it is microfarad, microcoulomb will come. What is Q2? Q2 is given by 4 into x, that is 4 into 2.5, that is 10 microcoulomb. Similarly, Q3 is given by 2 into 10 plus x, that is 2 into 12.5, that is 25 microcoulomb. This is the distribution of charge. We solved the problem within 4 steps. So very simple. You apply nodal analysis of circuit, then it is very easy. Follow the 3 steps properly such that you can get the required result within few steps. The same problem can be solved with the help of Kirchhoff laws also, but it could become somewhat lengthy method. So one more small example let me do based on the nodal analysis. Example 2. You are given a branch of circuit consisting of a capacitor, a cell, as well as one more capacitor like this, and the terminal is named A, this terminal is named B, and you are given that it's a 1 microfarad capacitor, it is 10 volts cell with the negative and positive potentials like this. This is 2 microfarad capacitor. Now the question is, given VA minus VB is equal to 10 volts, find the potential difference across the capacitor. Find the potential difference values across each capacitor. This is the question. The solution is quite simple. So here is A, potential at this point is VA. So let me think the charge is going like this. Here the potential is VB, this is the terminal B. So it is positive and it is negative, as both are connected to the negative terminal. So obviously this is positive, this is negative. As it is connected to positive, it is negative. Now let me apply Kirchhoff loop equation. Let me think it's a loop like this. Now let me apply Kirchhoff law here. Here is a potential VA. You are going from positive plate to negative plate. So drop of potential is available here. Here potential is calculated by Q by C. The charge available on this Q1 and its capacitance is C1. Here the potential is Q2 by C2. Let Q1 is the charge available, its capacitance is C1. Q2 is the charge available, capacitance is C2. Now this potential is you are going from positive to negative, therefore minus I should take Q1 by C1. Here you are going from negative to positive, that means rise of potential. They gave the potential as 10 volts. So negative to positive means plus 10 volts you should take. Again you are going from positive to negative, so minus Q2 by C2. So finally it gives the potential value VB here. Finally the potential value VB here. And one more point, as they are in series combination, obviously the same charge will pass through the entire circuit. So the charge on each capacitor should have same value. So Q1 must be equal to Q2 must be equal to Q. Then this equation becomes like this. This VB I am taking this side, VA minus VB minus Q by C1 plus 10 volts minus Q by C2 is equal to 0. VA minus VB they gave it as 10. Q we don't know. C1 is 1 microfarad plus 10. C2 is 2 microfarad is equal to 0. So 20 is equal to 3Q by 2. Q is equal to 40 by 3 microcoulomb. Q is equal to 40 by 3 microcoulomb. So 10 1.5 3Q by 2 40 by 3 microcoulomb. This is the answer. Thank you. V2. We need potential at first capacitor, let it be V1, the potential at second capacitor. If you want individually, what is V1? Both the capacitors are possessing same charge. So Q by C1, Q value we calculated as 40 by 3 by C1 is 1. So V1 is 40 by 3 volts and V2 is Q by C2, that is nothing but Q value is 40 by 3 microcoulomb, it is a microcoulomb, and it is capacitance is microfarad. Micro gets cancelled, therefore you are left with volt only. Capacitance of the second capacitor is 2 microfarad, therefore it becomes 20 by 3 volts. So in this way we calculated whatever charge available in this combination. As they are in series combination, the same charge is passing through the entire branch. So Q value we calculated as 40 by 3 microcoulombs, and individual potential drops at first capacitor and second capacitors I calculated like this. Thank you.